Stefan Krajisnik here, cleveland.com, joined by Ohio State Athletic Director Ross Bjork. A little bit over a year now since you officially took over as Ohio State Athletic Director. What has this first year kind of been like for you? What have you learned about what it means to be in that position at Ohio State?
Yeah, it's been awesome. Just getting around the state, seeing the passion of Buckeye Nation, the power of our brand. You always read about Ohio State, you hear about it. My mom grew up in Northwest Ohio, so I've had Buckeye fandom in my family in one way, shape, or form. But until you're kind of in the seat, until you really see the magnitude of it, it's really hard to comprehend. So I've learned that everything goes through the people. Relationships matter. Even though it's a big place, it's still almost like a small town in a big city. Everything's interconnected. Everybody loves excellence. That's our standard. It's not just, hey, a one-time national championship. It's every single day. I've learned that there's tons of upside. We don't have it all figured out. Buckeye Nation continues to evolve and grow, and how do we use data to get to more people, to engage more people, and we need to continue to generate revenue, but it's not all about that all the time. It's really about how do we just get more people involved where they feel like they're giving back in some way, shape, or form. So just learned a lot about the culture. The city of Columbus has been awesome. Our coaches are great. We have a great staff. There's just a lot of great pieces, but yet there's still room to grow, so that's exciting.
I think one thing that's interesting, I say it's a year on the job, but you were able to have some time learning from Gene and being with Gene was about 6 months in that role. Just how much do you feel like that helped in your transition to stepping into the role?
Yeah, one, I didn't have to assume all the pressure of the job, even though I did have to make some decisions, right? We hired Jake Diebler, we hired a couple other coaches during that interim period, but I was really able to sit in a meeting and not say a word and hear perspective, hear ideas, hear thoughts, hear challenges. Hey, we knew the House case settlement was coming. What was Ohio State already planning for ahead of time? But I was able to really observe those things. And then honestly, our culture is so strong at Ohio State, and give Gene credit for establishing that, but it's also delicate. So I also learned, hey, you know what, you probably don't want to rush into this. You probably don't want to touch this part of it. You don't want to puncture that culture, right, intentionally. And so I really learned that, look, it's a long-term approach. Our job is to leave it better than we found it. I think that's any leader. But I think that 4-month period really gave me that perspective.
How much fun, how interesting has it been, the balance of the Ohio State, the tradition, everything that's coming with it, but also all the changing parts in college football, different things like you've talked in the past about enhancements to Ohio Stadium. Like, how do you kind of balance the tradition, the history with there's a whole lot changing in sport?
Right. Somebody asked me earlier, like, how's the summer been? I said, you know what? We're doing a lot of things around game day atmosphere. We still have a day job. We're trying to build a master facility plan. We got to do renovations to Ohio Stadium. We can't forget about those things. Oh yeah, by the way, the collegiate model has totally changed, totally transformed. So you might need 3 or 4 athletic directors, governance, day job, making sure the coaches have the resources, making sure you're out fundraising. But no, I think what's really cool is Ohio State is in a leading position. We're best in class in so many areas. We can be a leading voice in all of this. So I've appreciated the fact that, look, we never want to just throw our weight around just because, but how do we be strategic about using our voice while also making sure that we have all the resources on our campus to provide for our student athletes to perform at the highest level. So I think the balance in the leadership sort of position that we're in has really been fascinating for me to learn, study, but also hopefully take it and run with it and take us to the next level.
Yeah. Last thing I want to ask you, you talk about the changing model of college athletics and everything that's had to be balanced even these last couple of weeks since July 1st. Just what have your thoughts been on kind of the way the implementation process has worked? I know you've done a lot with committees on that front, just around the country, how schools are adjusting to this, how Ohio State is adjusting to this, and do you feel like there's still growing pains? Is there still some room here with everything that's going on?
We because we got a late start. We were hoping the judge would approve this back in April. Then we would have had a longer runway to get things up and running by July 1st. So we're off to a late start. The infrastructure that has been put together needs time to breathe. We need some patience. So if we all just kind of take a step back, we all said we wanted rules, we wanted enforcement, we wanted governance, we wanted a new environment. We have that. So 22 days into it as we're recording this, we have to let it breathe. But I'm confident that things will level set. I'm confident that people will figure this out. look, if there's advantages that we haven't thought of, we'll think of them. If there's other people that are coming up with it, like, we'll think of it. But we have to follow the rules. There has to be a structure. Otherwise, there was no reason to settle. So, look, I'm confident in everything. It's just we're off to a late start. So it's bumpy. It's a little uncertain. There's things that are still evolving that have to have clarity, from the plaintiffs' attorneys to the conferences. There's still a lot of moving parts, but we'll get there. We'll get this figured out.
Well, I appreciate your time. That's Ohio State Athletic Director Ross Bjork, now a sophomore athletic director at Ohio State.
Right.
Thanks for your time.
Right.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.